Because see, the employer requires certain informations from the applicant's side so that the employer could consider that person for the job. Okay, so in that sequence we discussed in previous session that the applicant has to provide a particular document. Okay, so that document is sometimes titled as curriculum vitae, CV, or sometimes it is titled as resume, sometimes it is titled as biodata, sometimes it is titled as bio note also. Okay, all these titles are given as per the structure and the information provided in that document. And also we discussed in previous session that what all compulsory informations are to be there in all these documents. For example, personnel details, educational qualifications, professional experience, professional qualifications, extracurricular activities, interest of the person in various other areas except the job. Okay, so all certain informations are provided in a particular sequence, and that's how these documents are created. Okay, but now the other point we are going to discuss today, that much is not the sufficient task of the applicant. That CV, that resume, biodata has to have one application or job letter with that. And nowadays, a very other popular term is there, that is cover letter. Okay, because simply that resume or the CV forward will not suffice the purpose of the applicant. The applicant has to inform that why this particular resume, CV or biodata has been submitted to the employer. Okay, so this type of information has to be arranged in a form of job application letter or a cover letter. Cover letter is nowadays a very popular term. Okay, it is in general accepted that it is similar to application job letter, but it has slight difference in it. So what are those differences? What type of structure an application should have? Okay, what type of tone an application should have, which is assisted with a resume or some CV or some biodata. Okay, so that we are going to discuss today. So let us start the topic, application or the cover letter. I'll be discussing certain technical points related to this. So students, just respond one or two if you are able to see the screen.
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Yes, okay, fine. Are you able to see this title, application letter or cover letter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
Yes,
fine.
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Now, so this is the topic we are going to discuss today, job letter or the cover letter. Okay, see, job letters are in form of applications only. So before starting this, I just want to uh, have the information if all of you have studied about letter writing up to your school level. And I think that all of you have studied at some or the other level the letter writing exercise in English language. Am I right? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So, see, also we have studied that in letters, we have two categories, formal letters and informal letters. Okay, and again, your formal letters are subcategorized in application letters, official letters, and business letters. And informal letters do not have any subcategorization. Okay. So see, the point we have to notice here that formal letters are written for the formal purposes and informal informal letters are written for the social communication. Okay, as those are written to any of our social relatives. So this is how these are different. So let us check the formal letters as those are written for some or the other formal purpose. So one has to be quite careful in developing a formal letter. And as today we are discussing about a particular type of formal letter, that is job letter or the cover letter. Okay, this job letter comes in the category of application letters. Okay, as we have studied about all these things up to school level, so we can easily connect with that. As job letters are the application letters only. Okay, so definitely at we can say initial state, we have to just recall what is the structure of an application. Okay, so we have to just recall, but yes, job letter, it is slightly different. Okay, so we have to exercise some more things into that. It is not a simple application we are writing for leave. Okay, so just we can instead put a word job requirement and just the purpose could be sufficed. Okay, it cannot happen in that way. So yes, but the format could be considered. Okay, so at initial state we can just think of that structure of application, and then further we have to exercise more to develop an effective job or cover letter. Okay, because it's a serious affair, it has to be forwarded, it has to be submitted to the employer. Okay, who is the employer? Who will provide who will provide the person a job. Okay, and instead of that job, okay, the person will be receiving some earnings. Okay, so definitely it is a serious affair. So one has to be very careful to develop an effective job or cover letter. So see, these things we have to check here in terms of a job or cover letter, that is the format, essential steps, spacing of the letter, vocabulary which a person is using in the letter, and also the punctuations the person is using or has to use in the letter. Okay, now just check, as I have informed, that the person has to take care of the format part. Okay, it's a very important part of the job application, that the format should be the very updated one. Okay, the very latest version of the format has to be used by the applicant to develop that cover letter or the job letter, job application letter, which the person is going to submit to the employer. Okay, as when we were discussing about CV preparation, that time also we discussed about the formats. Just recall, I'll be talking about all these later on also. Full block format, semi-modified block format, and modified block format. The same formats are adopted for letter writing also. Okay, and the updated version.
Ma'am, we can hear you, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. This is Avik, sir. Ma'am, you are inaudible. We cannot hear you, ma'am. You are muted. So kindly unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're most welcome, ma'am. Please continue, ma'am. Please
Yes,
continue.
yes, yes, sir. Okay, fine. So we were discussing about the format part of the letter, which one has to be quite carefully select. That should be the very updated version of the letter. Okay, so full block format is nowadays the updated version of letter, so that one has to opt to develop that cover letter or the job application. Now, hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and
Yes,
also you
ma'am.
are
You're
able
audible.
to see the screen.
You're audible. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Ma'am.
Okay, so now,
Uh, Not always, but sometimes, yeah. Now I can see your screen.
okay, fine, sir. Thank you.
I cannot see your presentation screen, ma'am.
Sir, let me.
Yes, ma'am. Now we can see.
Now it is audible. Okay, okay, visible.
Yes, 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 ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
fine, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the second step, that is one has to take care of, that whatever essential steps are there of a letter, of an application, okay, that has to be definitely present in that letter. As we have studied about the essential steps, or we will discuss later on also. Okay, so just I'll make you recall that receiver's information should be there, the sender's information should be there. What is the purpose of writing that application, that has to be clearly described in that letter. So all these basic essential steps should be there in that letter. Okay, and with the clarity, and we can say with effectivity. So that also one has to take care of. Then the third thing one has to carefully check in this type of letter, that is the spacing part. Okay, so from the left, from the right, from the upper, from the lower side, whatever appropriate spacing is settled for letter, that has to be also checked while preparing such type of letter. And also there should be appropriate spacing in between the various steps of a letter, so there could be a differentiation clearly. Okay, so there could be a, we can say, clear cut uh, uh, We can say clear-cut difference that yes, now the next step is starting. Okay, or this is a different information. So spacing plays a very important role in letter writing, and that has to be effectively, cautiously taken care by the applicant. Now the next point one has to be very careful about uh, while preparing a job letter or a cover letter, that is the vocabulary part. Okay, and the last one, that is punctuations. Okay, definitely, as letter writing is one of the very important form of English composition. Okay, so punctuations play a very important role in that composition writing. So again, in letter also, one has to be quite careful about the punctuations, and wherever this has to be used, one must use, and it should be correctly used. Okay, so definitely letter writing, it is a very we can say a very important and very effective task one has to carefully perform. Now, as I was mentioning earlier also, that certain formats are there in practice for developing letters. Those are full block format, semi-modified block format, and modified block format. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier also, that full block format is nowadays very much popular. It is the updated version of letter composition at present. So most of the time, everybody is following this full block format. Even semi-modified block format and modified block format are also in practice, but these are as slightly different from the first one. Okay, and many of the persons do not go for these type of formats. Why? Because there is slight change in the position of various steps in these type of formats. So sometimes it happens that one could uh, make some error in this type of formats. So better it is to choose a simplified and the very latest format, that is full block format. Okay, how it is easy, how it is we can say very effective, we will discuss about that. I'll show you one of the example also of full block format later on. I'll just give you a hint here that in full block format, all these steps of letter, just remember my point, all these steps of a letter are written from the left side of the sheet. Okay, or we can say that all these steps of a letter are aligned from the left side. Okay, so this is how it is quite easy to remember that all the steps we have to, or the person has to write from the left side of the sheet. Okay, so these are the various formats. When we will discuss in detail about letter writing, I'll be explaining about the semi-modified block format also and modified block format also. Okay, let us check the next point, which is compulsory for this job or cover letter. Okay, so let us talk about what are the essential steps of this job application. Okay, in that, the first one is heading. See, these are the names I am referring. Okay, heading means receiver's address. Okay, whatever information we write in relation to receiver, okay, that is termed as heading in letter writing. Okay, so that has to be there. For example, if someone is writing uh, to the executive manager for the job position, okay, then one has to write the designation executive manager, then so and so. In next line, the person has to write so and so company, okay, and the location of that company, and even the date has to be written in heading itself. Nowadays, it is practiced that even the date of writing that application or forwarding that application, that has to be written in the heading part only. So this all information is what? Heading. Okay, it is the receiver's information. Now the second step is subject, that is statement of purpose. In short, as it is a formal letter, so subject has to be compulsorily written, okay, and that is the statement of purpose. What we mean to say by statement of purpose, that for what the person is writing that letter, okay. As we are discussing about job application, we are discussing about the cover letter for some job, okay. So in that case, the statement of purpose will be referring that job position in that organization, okay. Suppose somebody is applying for the trainee officer, okay. So what will be the subject line? Okay, that will be for the post of trainee officer, okay, full stop. That much is sufficient in subject, okay. In what organization, what other informations are related, that we will describe in the next step, okay. So here in short, one has to mention what is the purpose of writing that cover letter. Now the next very important step, salutation, okay. As you can see, these are the addressive words for receiver, okay. So yes, please remember this point here. The job application, the job cover letter is a very formal document. So one should avoid using words like dear in form of salutation, okay. And nowadays also it is restricted to write respected, okay. One can simply write sir oblique madam, okay. These words in itself, in themselves, have the respective tone, okay. So that is why it is restricted to write the adjectives, okay. So and the word dear in form of salutation in certain type of formal letters should be strictly avoided, okay. So one has to be quite careful to write the salutation part also in the job application. Now the next step, that is the body part. It is, we can say, the most lengthiest part of the letter, and as you can see that it is description of purpose, okay. So it is a detailed description of the purpose of writing that letter, okay. So all certain type of informations are to be written in this part, that from where the person came across that information of that job position, okay. And the person also has to mention that how the person is suitable for the job. Also the person has to mention that how the organization will be positively progressing by the joining of that person, okay. And also the person will show his or her interest in relation to that job, okay. So all these type of descriptive details are to be mentioned in this part, okay. And where this part will conclude, when the person is writing thanking you or thanks, okay. Here this particular part will end. Now the next step, that is very important, subscription, okay. Again, that has to be carefully mentioned. What is the subscription? These are the relative words of the sender towards the receiver, okay. What type of relativity is there in between the receiver and the sender, that is reflected through subscription in a letter, okay. So one can write one should not write yours obediently for any type of job application or job cover letter. Okay, then what one can write? One can write yours sincerely, yours faithfully. Okay, these are the appropriate subscriptions for this type of application letters. Now the next very important step is that is signature. Okay, see, in general we use this particular term for the initials. Okay, but that is not the actual meaning in terms of letter writing. Signature means the identity of sender. Okay, and this identity of sender means the name of the sender. Okay, that full name of the sender has to be written clearly. Okay, that is termed as signature in letter writing. Okay, and the very last step, okay, that is address. Address, this information is related to sender's address. Suppose the receiver is the employer, and receiver, that employer is convinced by the information provided in the cover letter and the resume or the CV by the applicant, okay, and wants to make a correspondence with the sender, okay, then definitely that information is also required in the letter, okay, and that is termed as address. So we have to be, or one has to be quite careful that all these steps should be in a particular sequence in the job application. None of the steps should be missed. None of the steps should be incorrectly mentioned. Each and every step should be correctly mentioned. Okay, this again plays a very important role in terms of the impression of the applicant on employer. Now, we have discussed about the steps. Okay, so let us just check uh, about the spacing, vocabulary, and the punctuations. Okay, spacing, as we have discussed earlier also, I gave you the hint that in full block format, it should be, all the steps should be left aligned, okay, and there should be single space in between the steps of the letter. Okay, after each step, there should be a single space, and then the next step should be written. For example, after heading, there should be a single space and then subject has to be written. After subject, again single space should be there and the salutation has to be written. There is no space in between salutation and the body part. This one has to remember. Okay, there is no spacing in between salutation and body part. Okay, and there will be a single space in between body and subscription part. Okay, and there will be no space in between subscription and signature, and again there will be no space in between signature and the address which is of sender. Okay, so this is how spacing also plays a very important role. If one does not do it effectively, it creates a negative impression of the writing skills towards the employer. Now, vocabulary, just check, should reflect educational and professional profile of the applicant. Okay, suppose the applicant is computer engineer, okay, and also it is mentioned that the person has done engineering from one of the very reputed institution of national or international level. Okay, so that should reflect in the writing part in terms of the choice of the words. Vocabulary means the words which the person is using to develop that job application. Okay, whatever words are used, okay, those should reflect that the person is highly educated, highly competent for the professional purpose. Okay, so those effective writing skills should be reflected by that vocabulary part in that job application. Again, it plays a very positive role for the selection of that applicant for the job. And the last one, that is punctuations. Okay, those should be appropriately used, and those must be used wherever the punctuations are required. Those punctuations should be used, those should not be skipped, and also those should be appropriately used. So one has to keep in mind all these basic things. Okay, many a time people carelessly forget all these things, and these things create a very different type of impression on the employer. Okay, so one has to cautiously take care of all these affairs also while preparing the job application. Now let us discuss about what are the essential elements of information in a job letter. Okay, so once we have decided that the person has to write the job application, person has decided the format, the correct format, and also the person is quite efficient in using the steps correctly in that letter. Okay, then also all these steps are to be effectively presented in that job application. So how those could be presented, that we can just check. The first point, mention job position. This is essential that we have, that the person has to mention that for what purpose the person is writing that application. And also the person must inform that what was the source of information for the of that job position for the applicant. Okay, suppose the person came across that information of job opportunity from some newspaper, so one has to refer that newspaper with the date. Okay, so this is how the connectivity could be developed with the employer regarding the job. Okay, then the second point, briefly stating about the suitability of the candidature relating with academic, leadership skills, and previous work experience. Okay, see, but here one has to take care of that how smartly the person will explain about his or her academic, leadership, and previous work experience informations, because already these informations are provided in detail in the resume or the CV which is attached with that cover letter. Okay, so here one should not mention the same information, or one should not repeat the same information which is already provided in the other document which is assisting to that cover letter. Okay, so smartly one has to tell that one was academically good throughout the education period. Okay, or one or two important other information which are reflecting the leadership skills. Okay, or just smartly one can tell that from this to this period he is continually working. Okay, where he was working, what was his or her position, that already is there in the resume or the CV in detail. Okay, so smartly all these informations are to be there. Okay, one cannot skip these informations, but those are to be smartly presented in that job application. Okay, in a very precise manner. And the third point, that is bringing attention towards the strengths. This is very important part of the job application. Employer is definitely interested that why, what are the key points, okay, that the employer should give you that job opportunity, should offer you that job opportunity. So in that case, definitely the applicant has to mention the strong strengths in relation to that job. Okay, but that also has to be precisely mentioned. Okay, and the fourth point, that is information which is not part of resume, CV or biodata, but it is pertinent to job. Okay, so yes, any certain type of information which cannot be part of resume, CV or biodata, but it is related or it will positively add, to the, we can say, person's profile. Okay, that information can also be precisely mentioned in the job application. Okay, and definitely there should be emphasis, okay, towards the qualifications and the abilities which the prospective employer is expecting from that applicant. Okay, so one has to firstly think, okay, that what are the requirements of the employer, okay, and accordingly the, we can say, the applicant has to prepare that job application so that there could be maximum chances for the interview call. Okay, see, as we all know that these type of application letters, cover letters are not the final documents for the selections. Okay, but yes, these are the steps forwarding that person towards that selection procedure. If those are effectively done, if those are not effectively done, then here itself the chances of selections lessen or those are missed. Okay, so that is the reason one has to pay more attention towards certain type of exercises. Okay, is it clear? Yes. So now let us take one format example of full block in the letter writing. Yes, students, are you able to listen my sound?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
yes,
ma'am.
you please pay attention towards this structure which I have presented. Okay, so you can just one by one check that all these steps of information, okay, these are starting from the left side of the sheet. Okay, or we can say that the steps are aligned from the left side. Okay, so this is termed as what? Full block format. Okay, now what happens that if we talk about, if somebody wants to go for the other two formats which we have discussed, okay, then there is a slight change only in those formats. In the semi-modified block format, that is the second type of format we were discussing, in that the first step of information, that is the heading part of the letter, that could be shifted in the center, upper center of the sheet. You can note down all these informations. In the semi-modified block format, the first step of letter, that could be shifted in the center. Okay, and rest all steps of the letters will be aligned from the left side only. Okay, so this is the slight difference in the other format, that is semi-modified block format. And the third format which we were discussing, that was modified block format. In that again, what will happen? There will be slight shift in the first step only. Okay, the first step of information will be shifted towards the right upper corner. Okay, and rest all steps will be aligned from the left side only. So this will be termed as what? Modified block format. Okay, so you can easily think of, or you can easily find out that there is no change in the steps of information, only there is a change in their position. Okay, so in full block format, all these steps will be aligned from the left side. In the semi-modified block format, the first step of information will be shifted in the center, And in the modified block format, the first step of information will be shifted in the very right side of the sheet, and rest all steps will be aligned from the left side of the sheet only. Okay, so only this slight change is there in all these three formats in terms of the position of the steps of the letter. Is it fine? Yes,
Yes,
students,
ma'am.
you can have a snapshot of this. Okay, this format which I am sharing with you at present, you can have a snapshot of that. So now, can I stop this, or should I continue presenting this format? Have you taken the snapshot?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So, okay, fine. Now, if there is any question from student side regarding the formatting, okay, and the steps part of a job application, okay, you can ask. See, the formatting and these steps essentiality is very important in job application, okay, because these create a very positive impression on the employer if those are correctly done. If these are not correctly done, then it can create a negative impression on the employer at first hand situation itself. Okay, so one has to be very much careful about all these informations while developing some job application, or nowadays a very popular term for the same thing is cover letter. Okay, and when the person is applying for the job, definitely the person has to prepare both the documents, the cover letter as well as the resume or the CV or the biodata. Okay, because these two have a totally different structure, these two have a totally different purpose to satisfy. Okay, so both are essential and both are to be effectively prepared. So is there any question?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, thank you.
Why? You
Ma'am,
understood everything? Yes, students, you understood everything.
Yes, ma'am, tried to understand everything.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you explain it so well.
Thank you. It means in one time I can go for extreme success. Is
ma'am,
it so?
please
Yes, ma'am.
explain the term salutation.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, I could not get your point. The term salutation means.
Salutation are the adressive words. See, I'll give you one example here. When we are writing informal letters, okay, suppose we are writing to our parents. So what we generally write, respected father, respected mother, okay, or we are writing to our brothers and sisters, dear so and so, okay, dear Sonali, dear Raju, okay. So these are the salutations. In letter writing, we term this part as salutation, okay. And if we are writing formal letters, suppose we are writing application for some leave, okay, to principal, or we can say to head of the department, okay, then we are writing earlier we used to write respected sir, or if the person is some female one. Okay, we are writing respected madam. Okay, so earlier we used to write in that way, but nowadays it is not, we can say it is not considered as effective to write respected sir or respected madam. Okay, it has been precised, and nowadays it is considered effective straightforward write sir or madam, because these words in themselves have that respective tone. Okay, in English language.
Ma'am, but nowadays,
But
ma'am, but
see, if
nowadays we
you
can
write,
write dear sir or ma'am, right?
no, yeah, now listen one thing.
Ma'am, oh, ma'am,
Starting,
yes,
yes,
ma'am.
I'll give you a clarification regarding this. Okay, see, this salutation has to be carefully framed. The reason behind that, this reflects all the sensibility of the writer, all the sensibility of the sender in letter writing. Okay, so suppose somebody is applying for some job for the first time, and the person does not know that employer. Okay, there is no connectivity in between them. So even the person does not have that information, that what could be the age of that person, that authority to whom that person is writing. Okay, and even the designation is of the very high cadre. Okay, then it is inappropriate. Dear word, it's a very casual term. Okay, it should be avoided in formal communication until unless the person is having communication with the colleagues. Okay, if the person is having communication with the colleagues, who are the colleagues? Colleagues are the persons who are having the parallel status in that formal system. Okay, if those are not colleagues, okay, the authority is having the higher cadre, then it is inappropriate to write a very casual salutation like dear. Okay, and also nowadays, uh, one more thing we can add into this, that in many of the cultures, okay, this particular word is used in a very confined context. Okay, it is used for the very, we can say, very intimate group, okay, of the family or the friend circle. So may it happen that the authority could not like, okay, or will not like that type of salutation, will think that the person is having a very casual approach at this initial state itself. So it is better, to avoid these type of casual salutations when the person is writing for the first time. One thing, this is one thing. Okay, when the person is writing for the first time, the casual salutations are to be avoided. Okay, and the second thing is that if the person is ignorant about the age, about the cadre of the authority, about the cultural, we can say, cultural association of that authority, then also it is good not to use certain type of casual salutation, and one has to be very much formal. Okay, in certain type of context, one has to be very much formal. That is always beneficial for the applicant. Okay, because when one will be formal, there will be a distance. Okay, and within that distance, the person has that opportunity to cope up with each and every type of situation. Otherwise, that can create a problem for the person in later times. Okay, that is the point. That is the genuine point, that these casual salutations should be avoided in formal communication. Okay, if somebody,
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
even one, when one is writing to some of the colleague, okay, but these two persons are not having healthy relationships, okay, the other can feel it offending. These are the reasons given by the many of the experts regarding this type of use of dear salutation in the formal communication. Fine? Did you?
Yes,
But
ma'am.
ma'am,
Yes. Any other point?
most of the time, in job letter or cover letter,
Hmm.
after subject, most of the people started the description of the purpose. They skip the salutation word. So it is
No,
necessary to write.
that's what I mentioned. Okay. That was the reason I gave you information of all the steps, their sequence. Okay. And I repeated time is pointing out that one must not avoid any type of step in these type of job applications. Okay, because one does not know that what is the academic or the professional expertise of the authority to whom we are writing. Okay, and how much consideration that person gives to all these things. Okay, suppose somebody gives very much consideration towards the writing skills, and if things are incorrectly placed in the job application, what will happen of the first impression? Are you getting my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so better if, see, in this situation, what one can do is, what I suggest is, if one does not know the appropriate format or the pattern of writing the job application, one must do some research before preparing a job application. Okay, at least 5 to 10 job applications one must go through, and then one must write for his or her own. Okay, that is the appropriate way of developing this skill. It is a very important skill, I must say here.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Are you satisfied with the answer? And you can explore more and more examples, okay, from various books. We have so many books of communication skills, of letter writings, of Oxford publications, and this McGraw-Hill also. Okay, so these are the very authentic books, and you can check more and more examples from there, and you can verify your points. And I'm always there to give you clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Any other question of any other student? And please, students, now it is good number of students present in the class. So I'm repeating my announcement that on 30 and 31st, all of you need to attend the workshop, okay, of business communication. Okay, you will be attending that workshop compulsorily. You will be provided with the attendance.
Ma'am, can you please repeat again the date?
30 and 31st, I'll be forwarding you all the information. Okay, I'll ask the admission committee to forward you all the information. Okay, compulsorily.
Okay, ma'am.
Today
Thank
itself
you.
you will receive. Otherwise, you can have my contact number. All of you, please note down my contact number. You can contact me also. 988
Yes, ma'am. Please. Ma'am,
988
988.
77
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
294
ma'am.
294
294.
55.
Ma'am, can you please repeat again?
988
Yes, ma'am.
77
Yes, ma'am.
294
Yes, ma'am.
55.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So you'll be
Yes,
receiving all
yes,
the
ma'am.
details of that workshop of 2 days by today itself. Okay, and
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm expecting that all of you will be compulsorily participating in that. Okay, you will have lot of benefits by attending that workshop. Okay, you're not supposed
Yes,
to
ma'am.
pay
Thank
any
you.
fee. You are not supposed to pay any fee for that. Okay, you will be receiving these certificates also. So it is good to participate in that. Okay. Yes?
Okay, ma'am. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. We'll definitely
And
attend.
yes, that's the spirit I'm expecting from you people. Okay, fine. See, in previous class, I do not Shubro or some name like that of a student. Okay, I assigned him one homework. Is he present? Yes. Yes, Shubrajit. Is he present? Let me check. I gave him
No, ma'am.
one homework. Today he is not present. Okay, fine. Now we are going to conclude the class today here itself. So please go through all the contents of job applications. Okay, keeping in mind all the points we have discussed today in the class. Okay, and at least all of you will try to write one job application at your own. Okay, and we will be discussing about that job application in the next class. Clear? Is it fine?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other question before leaving the session? If anybody wants to ask,
No, ma'am, no doubt.
no doubt.
No, ma'am.
Everything has
Everything is
been
clear.
clear. Everything has
Ma'am, thank you.
been okay. Thank you. Okay, fine then. You can leave the meeting. Thank you all. Okay, and compulsorily all will join the workshop. Okay.
Physics teacher.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay then. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Ma'am,
thanks.
have a good day.
Same to you also, beta. Have a healthy day.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now you can leave the meeting.